Imagine that you go into the doctor's office feeling in pain or sick and are not treated with the respect that you deserve. For 61 million Americans, this is a common occurrence in the healthcare society, in the healthcare field. I am JT Gialluisi, and today I'm talking about the invisible barrier in healthcare and how some providers have an implicit bias against people with disabilities and do not treat their patients who have disabilities in the same way that they treat patients that don't have disabilities. And from a survey that surveyed over 700 practicing physicians, 80% of physicians believe that people with disabilities have a worse quality of life than those who don't have disabilities. And this can affect their clinical practice in many ways, including how they treat the patient and how they respect them. And this leads to a lower quality of healthcare treatment for people with disabilities, even though the physician may not realize that they're providing this care. And this brings me to my next point, that 40% of physicians feel confident that they can treat the patient with a disability in the same manner that they treat a patient who doesn't have a disability. And even though the American Disabilities Act exists, only 50% of physicians feel that they can fully welcome patients with disabilities into their clinic, which makes it more increasingly difficult for people with disabilities to get the care that they need, which living a life either they're in a wheelchair or with any sort of disability that they may have makes it even more complicated and difficult for them to achieve the care that they deserve and continue living the life of high quality. As 50% of people with disabilities report having a great quality of life. So as a physician, seeing your patient as below or having a less quality of life is just unfair and will not help anybody. So this leads me to a story about a patient named Sarah who goes to her OBGYN, and instead of the physician talking to her and asking her about what her needs are, he ignores that and only talks to the husband, assuming that she is not sexually active and that she does not care about her own development in reproductive health. And in doing so, she begins to be concerned why she is not being talked to, and the doctor's only talking to her husband. And so she speaks up, but he treats her with a patronizing tone and makes her feel diminished and unsatisfied with her care. And as a future physician, this is alarming to me, as I would never treat a future patient in such a way. As currently, as a certified nursing assistant, I deal with many people that have disabilities, and I provide them with the same care I would provide anybody, as my job is to help them with daily living activities to make their lives well and to make them feel cared for. And in the future, I think that in medical schools, it is important for physicians to learn that about these implicit biases and to teach them not just clinical skills, but to help them understand clinical humility and to recognize all their patients as equals, as this can really be impactful to the living experience of the patient. And in redesigning the healthcare system, alongside the disabled community, can help disabled individuals feel more connected with. They can feel that their care is equal to those who don't have a disability, which is very important with the range of disabilities that there is. And we need to work diligently to make sure that physicians provide the same amount of care for individuals of all backgrounds and any kind of disability that they may have. So that concludes my elevator talk. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.